Welcome to Transformational Entrepreneur TV. We have a very special treat for you today. We have my awesome friend, Little Woo, coming here to tell us a whole bunch of awesome things. I am so happy to have Little Woo on. She's the kind of person that if you have ever met her, and I hope in the future you do, she's going to have a massive impact on you. There are certain people that you can tell who they are just by their energy. You just get this wave of energy, and this person is one of those. She's fabulous, and I am so happy. I'm forgetting she's here. She's probably pretty embarrassed me saying all of this, but you know, that's just how I feel. So I'm really happy for her to share with me, or share with us. She's like completely in line with what Transformational Entrepreneur is all about. So I'm really happy. So welcome, Little Woo. How are things today? Great to have you on the show.
Thank you so much, Andy. I'm so honored that you've invited me to be part of your show, and I'm so grateful to have met you recently. So thank you.
Well, the feeling's mutual. The feeling's mutual. It's great to meet you. Great to have you here, like I say. Well, let me just introduce you very quickly. Little Woo helps people find meaning by developing their higher purpose and sacred dream. I got so excited introducing her that I forgot to tell you this. She's been working since 2005 with people from Canada, USA, Europe, Central America, China, and India in private sessions and workshops. She's got an awesome podcast called The Magic of Compassion, and to take you on a journey of self-discovery. I'm going to just flash up. I don't usually do it, but I'm going to quickly show you her website so that you know you've got that right now. And I'm going to show you that right at the end as well. This is how to get to her. This is to get on her podcast. So welcome. So my first question is, you know, just if we could just get a bit of history about you. I know that you talked about, you know, before doing what you're doing now, you're involved in, you know, the artist and creative world. And you basically realized that business is all about creativity. You know, could you talk a little bit about that, please?
You know, sometimes how the old saying about a fish in water doesn't realize that it's in water because it's just where you are all the time. So you don't realize you're in some kind of particular environment. It's just the water that you live in. So when I was living in my water, at the time I was self-employed as an artist. So I would just say I'm a self-employed artist, and I didn't see my work as a business. And it was just this strange thing. I ran it, you know, I had to register students, I had to promote myself, I had to do all the things to run my work as an artist, but I never called it a business. I just didn't have that consciousness. So I was like that fish in the water. I just didn't realize I was running a business. I was just swimming every day. And so as an artist, I thought of, you know, I've lived my life to be creative and to express my true self. That's part of why I chose the world of art. And then I had to kind of work towards my healing. And I kind of said, you know, I'm going to focus on my healing work. And then I developed a practice and a teaching and students and a community around healing arts. So I moved from arts to healing arts. And again, I was in that water, not recognizing that it was a business, just, you know, running a school and thinking, oh, I'm just teaching. That's what I'm doing. But in the last 4 years of studying marketing and entrepreneurship, it's been very powerful to recognize the ocean that I'm swimming in, which is really entrepreneurship. And that, you know, being heart-based entrepreneurs, we're all kind of swimming in this place and, you know, trying to understand how to live, you know, authentically in your work and your personal life. So it's like this. What I love about transformational entrepreneurship is that your work is not just a separate category in your life. It is a deep part of your life purpose. It's a way to express your life purpose, maybe is another way to say it. That you express your life purpose in everything you do, in your personal relationships and in your business relationships. And those are with clients and with colleagues and with you know, people you've hired. So yeah, these are all really empowering ways to see entrepreneurship that I didn't see before. And then so once I realized what ocean I was in, I became very humbled by the world of business, by all the people who are changing the world through their business. I didn't see it as a artistic thing before, but I realized it's extremely creative to create a business. It's probably one of the most creative things you can do, and one of them. So yeah, that's before I rant on and on. I just yeah, but
No, I mean, yeah, please. We want you to rant on and on. That's what you're here for. I mean, I can completely relate to you with what you were saying. I had an English language school in Brazil, and it's crazy because I could feel and connect with the perception that others had for me. I was the director of the school. I was this image that was on television, on radio, on billboards and flyers all over. I had my picture because I was the brand. And for me, it was just a place that I hung out with my friends. It was, the people who I work with were my friends, the students were my friends. Yeah, there was a transaction of money involved as well, but I didn't see it as a business, and I can completely relate to that. And on the one hand, it's good. We both see it as kind of like we talked about this a couple of days ago, and we talked about it being a spiritual experience. And I think I was focused more on that than the business side. Now I'm working on balancing. I mean, could you just talk a little bit about what you think of as why it can be a spiritual experience?
Right. Yeah, that's when we chatted about this this week earlier. It was that idea that when you recognize that you're running a business, then it's coming back to that place of why are you doing this in the first place, beyond being able to pay your mortgage or rent, and beyond being able to pay your employees, beyond livelihood. What is the reason? And that reason, of course, Simon Sinek talks about your big why, but the higher purpose of what you do is usually based on a principle or a value that you want to live. And when you start to realize that it's based on principles and values and a legacy that you're creating that's not just about resources and services, but an actual principle and value that you're transmitting to the world through your business, through the way you run your business, through the way you serve, then that becomes a very deeply spiritual experience to transmit that through what you do. But the other spiritual experience, the other layer, is the very personal level of self-actualization, which is this kind of that's a complex word, but anyone who's not encountered that word, it simply means that part of you that is not just about survival, that is not satisfied with just paying rent and just being able to pay for food and groceries and your bills and just live day to day, just taking care of your needs. Like it's when a person seeks more than self-gratification, self-indulgence, or survival. When they've gone beyond that and they're like, I want more, not because I'm greedy, but because I want to care about something and create beauty and meaning in the world. And so when you want to create beauty and meaning and you use your business to do that, then you're going to go through this journey that's very existential as you try to self-actualize through your business. So it's very personally spiritual, because as you do your business, you're going to go through really rough times. It's like, when you say, I'm going to put myself out there in the world, because it's not a hobby. I'm not just doing this for fun. I'm actually going to make a living and possibly pay other people and help them make a living. So there's an existential question of like, how am I going to make a living? How am I going to pay all these people? How am I going to pay myself? How am I going to make this service valuable and that people will see the value in it and actually, help me with my business or participate. So those questions of like, am I worthy of attention? Is my work worthy? All those questions come up when we put ourselves out there. So it's so different from a hobby, because you don't need people to like your hobby for you to do your hobby. And you don't need people to like you to do what you do in the world, but you need to know that what you're doing is actually impacting and reaching people. And sometimes you have the impact, but you haven't figured out how to reach people. And that's what the marketing puzzles about, for an entrepreneur. It's like, oh, I know my work's really profound when it, reaches people, but it's like reaching people. That's the big question. And then you go through, I went through a huge existential journey trying to figure out my marketing, because like, it doesn't matter if I have a lot to give if nobody knows about it. As my business coach and mentor, Duff Gardner, transformation marketer, this idea of transformation, he says, that, you don't want to be your own best kept secret. And so that's the angst of an entrepreneur. It's like, I know I've got this great thing and I want the world to have it, but how am I going to make that happen? And sure, there's a practical side of marketing, but then there's that very spiritual side of, what does it mean when I can't reach people? Is it because I'm not good enough? Is there something lacking about me? Is there something wrong with me? Like, we go through those questions. We think these big businesses or small businesses, they're all just, oh, they're doing fine. They're all every single person who's ever run a business at some point has probably gone through a moment, if not a year or more, of those like, how am I going to make it with my business? And does it matter what I'm doing? Yeah. Very existential. I never thought business would be such a spiritual practice, but it is.
No, I agree. I can completely relate to what you're saying, because this is why I was so excited to meet you and talk with you, because these are experiences that I had with my own business, and it's interesting because often we are our best kept secret for sure. We do need marketing, and there's kind of like a before I talk about what I'm going to say in a minute, one thing I'd like to say is, like, we say, oh, just people like what we're doing. And that was a big thing for me. I realized that basically, people say, oh, you're natural on video. And the reason I didn't used to be, and it didn't used to be, it used to be quite awkward. But I realized that, there are people who love me for who I am. And there are going to be people who don't like me. And the people who don't like me can they'll find somebody else, and they'll find somebody who they do like, and that's fine. And the people who like the way that I am and what I'm about, then they'll be close to me, and there's a place for every person here. So it's okay to be ourselves, and that's there are certain things that we need to do to present ourselves in the best light, of course. The ways to present, to make things more interesting, of course. But basically, we don't need to be somebody we're not. I don't need to be talking to you and saying, "Hello, everybody. This is Andy Shepherd here." It would just be ridiculous. But people are thinking maybe that's how they should be, and they don't.
Well, sometimes it's so noisy out there. I know we sometimes feel like, do I need to shout? And how do I make it through all that noise to reach the people that I really want to help?
Yes.
So sometimes it's not even about yourself. It's about feeling like you have a lot to do in this life. You want to help a certain group of people with the things that you have figured out or the things that you have created, and you feel like they're going to waste because they're not reaching enough people. I don't know if you've ever had that feeling of, oh, like I have so much that I want to give, but how do I, get it out there in the world? So it's not even about you anymore. It's about the service that you want so much to be in service of. And of course you want to make a living, because it's not like in certain parts of India where you can be a teacher, or they guru, and you can gather students and they'll buy you an ashram that you can live in, and they'll make food for you. I mean, we're not in that reality. I know, I had a long time ago, I had someone, and they said, you should never turn your spirituality into a business, because that is, it's not ethical. And to me, that was an interesting point of view, because, we all kind of grapple with like, what does that mean to be spiritual? For me, it's just a way of being in the world where you're connected to what matters to you, and you live and embody what you care about every day. That's, to me, being spiritual. So it doesn't require any dogma or religion. You can be an atheist and be very spiritual. As long as you care about something and you're willing to show how you care with your actions and the way that you live, then you're being spiritual. So if you care about something and you offer your gifts to the world, why can't the world give you back, by, paying a tuition or paying a service for your service, and so we are not in an ashram in India where we get to give our service and have people just come and take care of everything. And I think that is possible. There's a kind of level of being where things just keep coming to you if you just keep serving. So there is a truth to that. But to say that it's not ethical to charge for your services, even if it's helping someone with their spirituality or helping someone with their healing, like a doctor helps with your healing, a naturopath helps you with the healing, a yoga practitioner. I mean, I know there's contention about even charging for yoga. There's all these things that people are dealing with out there because they want to be ethical, and yet they also want to run a business. So these are existential questions. Am I being ethical by charging for what I do every day that I've given my life to? Is it ethical, or should I be doing something else for income and do this as a hobby or as a service? Those are big questions to ask when you're creating something. How do you want to structure it?
For those who are watching live or watching the recording, you're watching Transformational Entrepreneur TV. Today's guest is Little Wu, who is a person who helps people to develop their higher purpose and sacred dream. She helps people worldwide. So we're talking about what it means to be a transformational entrepreneur. And we're going into depth. And don't worry if you just caught this right now. You can hit watch the replay near the end or start from the beginning. So would you say that people are inherently spiritual? Do you think that people are inherently spiritual? And if so, what does that mean?
That is such a good question.
Know about it?
Well, I mean, we all have ideas. Again, like I said, like we have ideas of what is spiritual and what is not. We all have different definitions of it. But if you're going to ask me for my kind of view, I would see that a person, like I said, is spiritual when they care about something very deeply with all their heart, and they're willing to embody that care through the way that they live, the way that they act, and they make choices that are always honoring those principles or whatever it is that they really love. And when you love something with all your heart, then it's pure and it's beautiful and it's meaningful. So it's not about, I love to hate people. Does that count? No, but it's with all your heart, because hate is not coming from your heart. Hate is coming from fear. So any behaviors that are really aggressive or violent are not coming from your heart at all, even if you think it is. It's actually coming from fear. So I would say that we're all inherently spiritual because we all essentially have a deep heart. And the only reason that we don't express that heartness, that loving, compassionate side, is when we've had trauma or we have witnessed really difficult things. It may not have happened directly to us, but we've witnessed it. Maybe something really difficult happened to family members or classmates, or something we observed growing up. We saw, oh, and the ultimate reason for the trauma to ourselves or witnessing trauma outside of ourselves or danger, sometimes trauma is a difficult word, I can say danger, is that you start to see that the world is either dangerous, threatening, or hostile place. So whether it happened to you or happened to someone around you, if you came to internalize the belief that this is a hostile world, then you're going to go into what I call survival mode. And this is a term that's kind of loosely used, but I use it very specifically to mean when you feel the world is hostile, deep down, that's your subconscious view, and you've developed a set of tools and armor to protect yourself. And that can be, there's 3 types of tools that people develop that are coping mechanisms. And so that survival mode involves those 3 types of behaviors. And when you're in that mode, you might look like a high functioning individual. You could be very successful in an area of your life. You could be very wealthy or even famous, but there will be some signs. And those 3 behaviors that will be the sign that you're actually coming from survival mode. I don't know if you want me to go on about this, but yeah, I can tell you about the 3 modes. But
yeah, that's interesting because one thing that came up in our conversation is about you're talking about businesses being either in survival mode or they're just doing it to get to see how big they can get. So yeah, I mean, talk about that a little bit.
Well, when a business is really obsessed with just getting bigger and bigger and bigger, it's like almost like being the biggest in the world. It actually is a strange survival mode reaction, And I'll explain why. The three survival mode mechanisms are: one is attack, the other one is defend, and the third is escape. And it's based on the three nervous system responses that we have to threat. So you go into survival mode when you feel that there's a threatening or hostile world. And I don't mean just in this moment. I mean, permanently feel that this world is not safe, that this world is competitive and rat race. And how many businesses feel that way, right? How many businesses feel like, oh, it's a rat race out there. It's hostile. I'm going to be in a hostile takeover, or, you know, I'm competing for limited resources. Those are all survival mindset thoughts. And so a business that is trapped in survival, even if it's doing well in like resources and, you know, material ways, there's an energy that is infused in the business in which they're always attacking other people in some way, or they're defending themselves with time. And defense comes in really interesting ways. It can be, I'm going to puff myself up and I'm going to make myself really big so that no one can ever hurt me. And, you know, we did that as kids. Sometimes we were like, oh, there's a bully, like puff yourself up and, you know, fend them off. So as a defender, you can become extremely violent, or you can be extremely narcissistic, where you kind of only focus on how great you are and how wonderful you are, because you're really deep down defending yourself from attack. That's really what all these businesses, no matter how big they are, there's a part of the structure that is terrified of being, you know, dissolved or of not succeeding. And so we're moving away from that paradigm, and more businesses are going into the transformation world, going into heart-centered work. I mean, mindfulness, meditation is being actually taught in corporate settings in unprecedented levels. It's never been as holistic as it has been. Holistic business before didn't even exist as a concept. But now it's like they realize that it impacts profitability. It really impacts the bottom line. It impacts your employees' health, which impacts productivity. If your employees are unhappy, unhealthy, they're going to leave, which is very expensive for turnover, rehiring, retraining, and dealing with turmoil in the workplace. It means people can't focus. They can't be innovative if they're stressed out, or they don't feel like they can share their ideas. They feel like there's always going to be some kind of aggressive takeover, or someone's going to steal their idea, and they're in an unsupportive work environment. There's not as much teamwork. There's not as much creativity. So survival mode can go from the top level, the CEO, all the way to all the employees, and it's a transmission of energy. And so as a business learns to transmit instead what I call your sacred dream as a business, you know, what is sacred to you as a business, so that it's not just about those cogs in the wheel. It's not just about survival. It's about a greater legacy that you're here to create. Any business that has that, it will rise until it forgets itself, and then maybe has to awaken itself again. You know, I think that we all have seen the examples of, you know, Apple being this, you know, this rebellious company that it was very ahead of its time and thinking about, you know, we want to make a difference in the world, and we want to do things different, and we want to rebel against the status quo, like all that stuff, or even Google's don't be evil, or is that their logo, their slogan? It used to be. So, you know, like, I don't know, maybe they reframed it. What, instead of don't be evil, what would be their sacred dream of Google? If it's beyond, you know, beyond doing, so obviously it was bigger than being a search engine. It was much bigger than that. You know, Facebook, Mark Zuckerberg, I mean, there was some talk of him wanting Facebook to really be about transparency and about everyone really sharing who they really are. So that could be a sacred dream, but then sometimes we have to look at really what's going on, the mechanics of what's happening. Has it going to become lost? Because has it become just a money-making machine, a database of people's, you know, a data mining treasure, like that you can sell to the CIA or whatever, all these different theories out there. I mean, here we are using the platform. Hi, Facebook. But, you know, it's just, we all need to get back and reconnect to our sacred dream and understand what our higher purpose is. Otherwise, we're going to lose energy. We're not going to be able to move forward. And we're also going to start to move through survival mode again. You know, like I've recently gone through, you know, 2 years ago, I was in a really deep survival mode when I was studying marketing. I'm like, I don't know what I'm doing anymore. I taught for 10 years. And then I thought, oh, I'll learn about marketing. And then I got really confused, like all this stuff. And it's like, oh, you know, get all the noise away. and dive down deep and really look at, like, why do you care about what you do? Why do you do your business? Like, why, what was the original reason? And maybe it's evolved. What do you care about now? What is the sacred dream now, the legacy? And we need to revisit that, every so often.
Awesome. So we've talked a lot about spirituality. I think that there are, certain perceptions of what spirituality is, and maybe people are fearful of being spiritual. Maybe they are spiritual already, don't know about it. So, I wonder if you could just quickly talk about those topics and also talk about, we've talked about this in a general way. Are there any kind of steps that one can take initially to become a more spiritual being?
Well, the question of, if the word spiritual has too much stigma for someone, then I wouldn't even use that word with them, because I don't, it's a word. We don't want to get stuck in semantics. So maybe just the principle would be, do you care about something enough that you're willing to devote your life in service to it? And when you say, oh, I don't know, I'm fickle, I like one thing this year and I like something else. No, I would say, if I were to go deeper with you, I would find what is timeless to you, something that you have cared about since your childhood, something that will always be meaningful to you. I mean, there's things that are meaningful to a person that are lifelong, and those are always principles and value-based. And this is the big distinction. Do not get mixed up with form. So your business can change forms many times, just like a musician will do a new concept album, every year. Be different topics, different even style of music. My favorite musicians actually switch styles of music, but their values and their principles are timeless. Their values and principles remain the same, so that even when you change the form of your business, the values and principles remain the same. And that's what your legacy is. So people remember, so and so did 5 different businesses, but they were all about, sharing, teaching people about kindness, or teaching people how to be empowered. Like Maura Barclay, her work, if you look through her whole life thread, is about, empowerment. And being courageous and standing in your power. So it doesn't matter what she's doing next in her life. It'll always be about that, courageous empowerment, being able to stand and using your intuition and be, strong and not afraid, and be able to deal with difficult situations or even danger. So a person's timeless principles do not change. I could talk to a 5-year-old and find out what their timeless principles are. And when they're 45, if I met them again, I promise you, if they haven't been traumatized enough to hide those, they will be the same. It will always matter to you.
Interesting. That's awesome. That's awesome. Well, there's so many topics that we could talk about, and it's amazing how time flies, and that's just how it is. Remember when we met at an event, it's just like I was so fortunate to spend a lot of time with you, and the time just absolutely flew by. So that's happened again.
Yeah, that's what happens when we engage on a deep level that's around purpose and meaning and truly what you care about. That kind of time is timeless. So can I ask you a quick question before we go?
Absolutely, yeah. Of course.
What's one timeless thing that you've cared about since childhood, a principle or value?
Helping people, to take them away from pain and get them to the place that they want to be, always. And I didn't realize that until later. I've always been helping people, always. It's only now that I've got the tools to be effective. Before I was a shoulder to cry on, but now I'm able to transform people's lives, which is incredible. Incredible.
Oh, you probably did that with your school. Your language school, you did it even when you were a child, and now you're doing it with your Transformation Entrepreneur TV. It's like everything you touch will always have that energy, and that's the legacy that people remember about you when you're not here anymore, or when you're doing something completely different. It'll still have that energy, and that's the profound continuity that we need to move beyond the survival mode, to go, I'm willing to get up even when I'm tired because I care about this enough. And so that's what I work to help people with.
That's beautiful. Yeah, and it's interesting because, what my mother had a mom and pop restaurant, and I was helping there for people to have enjoyment through food and to satiate their hunger, and make it a nice, happy environment in between work, at lunchtime. Then in the corporate, I was helping people to get their computer back again. It was like panic, I can't work anymore. Mr. Fix-It comes in, dun, 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 and goes and repairs it, makes it work again, and so on and so on. And in English school, it was good English, good life, because in Brazil that's just the way it is. And now it's good coaching, good life. So that's awesome.
That's great. I love the slogan.
Yeah. Oh, you think that's I could use that? Good coaching.
Yes, you could use that. You could use it right now, because that was your previous slogan for your school, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So good English, good life. Now you can be good coaching, good life.
Yeah. That's the first time I've said it. It's been going around.
Awesome.
Thank you. So, I'm sure a lot of people would really like to connect with Little Woo, and you really should do. So here's how to find her. You can go to littlewoo.org, and there you're going to find she's got an absolutely awesome podcast there, which is The Magic of Compassion. There's a whole bunch of other material there, which is totally awesome, and you really need to see that. Now, you've got something absolutely fantastic happening on Tuesday. So can you we've only got a few seconds left, but just
I'll keep it really short.
What are you doing?
I'm really excited because I've been teaching live workshops for over a decade, and as I said, I'm learning how to kind of move on the online sphere to reach other people that are not in Vancouver. So because otherwise you would have to move to Vancouver to study with me. But if you're from elsewhere or you're in Vancouver, but you want to learn with me, starting this Tuesday, I'm starting a new group healing experience called Magical Human 101, and it's 4 weeks. It's an online training, but it's live and interactive. So I'll get to see you. We get to talk to each other in a very intimate circle online. And the information, I think, like Andy, you're going to be able to share that. I'll send you the link anyway. I'm really excited because it's about these questions of, the how to get beyond survival mode so that you can really live your higher purpose. How do you know what your higher purpose is? That's one of my gifts, is being able to help people figure that out, especially when they're creating a new chapter in their life or their business.
This is the life changer. Once you've found your higher purpose, your whole life makes sense and you can move forward. This is the one thing that we really need to find. And once I'd unlocked that, my whole life changed. And everything just falls into place, because it's like when you've got decisions to make, it's like, well, is this, in line with my higher purpose? Yes, it is. Totally. Do it. No, it isn't. Okay, I don't need to do it.
Yeah, you nailed it. It was one of the key benefits of knowing your purpose. It's not just some nice idea. It's like actually influences the kind of people you want to spend time with, the kind of relationships you're willing to generate, the way you want to live your life, the businesses that you choose to create. Every project is informed by this. And then it helps you overcome, the discomfort of the work, because when you have a higher purpose and you get up in the morning, like I said, and you're tired, your higher purpose gets you out of bed. If you're just like doing it to pay the rent, that's not a higher purpose, even though it feels really real and important to do to pay your rent or your mortgage. It's just not. Humans are aesthetic. They're aesthetic beings. They need beauty and meaning. That's what I mean by aesthetic. You need beauty and meaning, and paying your rent is not beautiful. It's practical, but you need something beautiful to wake up every day and say, I'm going to get up. Or if you've made a mistake and you want to clean it up, when you clean it up, it's not easy. But when you go, I'm doing this for the higher purpose, then suddenly it's easier to deal with mistakes. It's easier to deal with failure, because you're always trying to find, like, what is the beauty and meaning in this? Is it aligned with my higher purpose if I get up again and continue? And then it helps you get up again, instead of going, I'm going to just rock at a little fetal position in my bed and just not face reality. I don't care about the rent. It's like, no, we can't care about the rent enough in the end. It's got to be something bigger.
And when it's something bigger, then you're getting, your necessities. You are paying the rent, and you are paying for all the things that you need to survive.
Those are important.
Joyful, meaningful way.
Yeah, it's about bringing joy back.
It's awesome.
If I took a little baby and I say, hey, little baby, welcome to the world of paying rent or mortgage for 65 years until you die.
Payment.
I was like, welcome to the universe. Like, not really inviting, but if I say, hey, baby, hey, baby, when you come into this world, you're going to find your higher purpose and you're going to bring so much joy and beauty to the world with your creativity and your intelligence. I can't wait to see what you do. That is a welcome. Right? That is what I mean about a life worth living. And to me, I don't really need to just live, to just eat and sleep, and because as I eat, sleep, defecate, and make love and reproduce, I mean, making love and all those things are actually really orgasmic when you're in a healthy, joyful state. But to just be here, just to do those things without recognizing the love that you're here to share, because it really purpose is about love in the end. Every higher purpose comes down to a form of love. It's just very different for each person, how they reveal their love.
Yeah, everything's back to heart center again, being heart centered. And I'm happy that people are picking up on this. That's the whole thing about transformational entrepreneur. It's like if you do stuff from heart, you're going to be fine. And, I kind of look at things now and say, where am I with this? Is this ego, or am I doing this from heart? If you're doing it from heart, then, the ego isn't taking over. And, it's like a switch. Which way am I going? It's one or the other, on or off.
If it's ego, I would say it's actually a form of heart. It's just the wounded heart is the ego.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah.
So you're either doing from a joyful heart or a wounded heart. And so some people say, I'm really doing things from my heart and it's still not working. It's because your heart is wounded. And there's a good reason why it's wounded. And if we look at that and come to resolution, then you'll be able to serve from a joyful heart. And that's when magic happens.
Yeah, when I talk about ego, I did a lot of Buddhist meditation. So I'm talking specifically about the ego that's meant in Buddhism. And in the other worlds, ego has got lots of other meanings. So I need to find a better...
No, ego makes sense on a lot of levels. It's a suitable word for this. I guess it's maybe just another way to look at what ego really is. It's the wounded heart, or the part of us that's... I actually was going to do a podcast about what ego is, and so I won't get into it now. But yeah, so lots to say about that.
Let's have you on again. I would love to have you on again. I have a good bunch of questions that I didn't ask. So, in a few weeks, a few months, let's get you on if you'd like. And
I would love it.
That'd be awesome. Fantastic. Now, we talked about your beautiful workshop that you're doing on Tuesday. Can they find the information on littlewoo.org? Is the information there?
You know what? It is. I have a special page for it. If you don't mind posting the link. It's not on the main page, and gotta put it on the main. It's not on it's a special page, so I'll send you the link.
Is it complicated? Can I just type it in now?
Oh, I can just let me just see here. Where is it? It's littlewoo.org/magical-human-101-program. I can send it to you.
Okay, I'm just typing it in now. So it's littlewoo.org.
I'll just send it on your Facebook.
Go on, tell me again.
Magical-human-101-program. I've sent it to you in a private message as well on Facebook.
Okay.
That's easier.
I close that down.
Oh, okay.
Okay, it's not coming up, folks. I'm not able to do that at the moment.
But you can just post it in the comments of this video.
Magical human hyphen, what's the last one?
101.
101.
Hyphen program.
101 in words.
Just number 101.
Okay, you'll give you the link later.
I'll send you the link. You can post it on the comments. That's easier.
Put it in the comments. I'm sorry.
URLs.
It's too complicated. Sorry, everybody. Well, anyway, thank you so much for being on the show. It's been awesome to have you on. It's been brilliant. I hope everybody's got as much out of this as I have. And so, yes, thank you. I hope you've enjoyed it.
Thank you, Andy. Appreciate the work you're doing to help people. That is one of your life missions, one of your higher purposes. So thank you for doing that. My pleasure. And I know this is what you're all about as well. And I appreciate everything that you do. Okay, so thanks everybody for watching. If you just caught this right at the end, we've got the replay. So, join Transformational Entrepreneur TV on YouTube. Remember to subscribe.
There's lots more videos there, and I'll be doing some fabulous interviews at least once a week, and we'll have Little Woo on again. So many thanks, everybody, and bye for now.
Thanks for watching. Hope you found this really useful. Please remember to subscribe, like, comment, the good stuff that we always ask you for, and hit that bell button as well next to the subscribe. That'll get you notifications as soon as the next video's out. And talking of next videos, it's over there. Go click on it.